Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is ZillaFan85 back today with my latest video, my latest figure review. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my Godzilla 1995 Birth version Gashapon figure. So this figure is based upon the 1995 appearance of Godzilla, of course, and that is from the film Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. There are some spoilers here that I'm just including with this opening bit, so if you haven't seen the movie, please be aware of that. So essentially at the end of the film, when Godzilla, dies off after melting down, burning Godzilla, that is, bringing an end to the Heisei era as well. Obviously always a very, very sad moment. It always brings tears to my eyes when I see that moment. But I do kind of feel better because then you notice after the smoke clears at the very end of the film, you see Godzilla standing there roaring and then the credits roll. And that's not just some kind of metaphor. That actually was him, that actually was Godzilla at the end of the film. However, it's not exactly Godzilla as you would think, and I never realized until, the days of really looking everything up on the internet to find stuff out. But that Godzilla that we see after the smoke clears was not the Godzilla that we knew, burning Godzilla, and of course the Godzilla throughout the Heisei films, but that was actually Godzilla Junior, who unfortunately did perish during the battle with Destoroyah, after Destoroyah, basically dropped him down from that high altitude when he grabbed him and flew off with him. And just a very touching moment when you see Godzilla go in and try, go over to him and try to breathe energy into him, but it unfortunately didn't work. It just had so many sad moments, the film, but I do love it. But essentially though, like I said, what happened was after Godzilla melted down and perished, he transferred his energy over to Godzilla Junior, which not only revived him, but caused him to mutate into a fully grown adult Godzilla. So really my last video figures that I reviewed, which were my Minya, Little Godzilla, and Godzilla Junior Gashapon figures, actually was a nice segue into this one, since, like I said, this is the fully grown Godzilla Junior. So, like I said, I never knew that originally when I watched the film and saw Godzilla reappear at the end, but then obviously afterwards with the great tool that is the internet and being able to read up on things and whatnot, and of course, with the advent of YouTube as well, you tend to learn a lot of stuff. So I had learned about that after the fact, but it was really, really cool to see, and it was good to see Godzilla Junior get his kind of time to shine at the end there, becoming the new adult Godzilla. So, and that was also a sort of a recurring thing that had happened as well in the Heisei era, because 2 movies prior, in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, when Rodan died, basically sacrificing himself, died at the hands of Super Mechagodzilla, then he transferred his energy over to Godzilla, who is essentially all but dead, at least, and revitalized him and gave him that supercharged power, which he unleashed his for the first time we see him unleash the red spiral ray, which I always loved. So anyway, so kind of going into some of the history behind that and all that. Now, this particular Gashapon figure, this is actually I would say a very common mold, probably more so than any of the other Gashapon figures, because they reused this particular mold and made other color variants of it as well. And of course, there are bootleg versions of this too. This is the actual Bandai one, and you can actually see all the labeling on it here if my camera focuses. So you see the copyright there in 1995. Bandai. So you always want to pay attention to that. That's the real telltale sign to know if it's authentic or not. For especially for these ones, as you will see the copyright for the Bandai on it. But like I said, so they made other color variants of this particular mold, including a Burning Godzilla version. But obviously, I just got the standard Godzilla here. So, like I said, this is the '95 Godzilla Birth version. It's also known as the Rebirth Godzilla, but the more correct name is the Birth version. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I apologize for wasting so much time, but the paint and detail here looks pretty darn good, I think. You got that charcoalish color for Godzilla. A very signature of his design there. You got all the scales along his body. You can see the texturing on the arms and the legs. All the scaly look here on the chest. All those segments on his neck there look really, really nice. And of course, you got the sort of like this sort of creamish bone color for the finger claws and toe claws, as you guys can see there, and they're pretty sharp as well, so they look pretty good. The eyes here, so you got like the white eyes, and then you got the pupils. Let's see if we can take a little bit closer of a look here. Doing the best I can to get my camera to focus. But basically like a grayish black pupil that he's got there. So, not sure if it's 100% accurate, but it looks pretty good nonetheless. So you guys can see that. And of course, you got the kind of off-white for the teeth painted on. You got a little bit like a very deep red color for the tongue and roof of the mouth, so they did add a little bit there, so you can see that. Nice detailing work here. You got the dorsal spines here, very prominently done. You got that sort of deep charcoalish color for the center portion of these spines, and then the outer portion done in a sort of like you know, sort of grayish color, which is very signature for Godzilla's look here. So you can see that, and then of course tapering off into the smaller dorsal spines on his tail, which are sort of almost like just almost sort of sprayed on with that grayish color. So a little bit of an easy way out on the tail, but it's not too bad though, I think. And then it just kind of tapers off as you get towards the end and tip of the tail. And then of course, again, like I said, the copyright information with the Bandai labeling on the bottom side of the tail here. As long as my camera will focus for you guys. There you go, you can see that. And some detailing work on the underside of the tail as well though, so not too bad there. Again, just another look around him here. And yep, and then pretty good. And otherwise on the face, other than the eyes and the mouth, pretty nice detail work there. So not going to say it's 100% movie accurate, but it's not too bad. So I definitely like it. So that should pretty much cover that for the paint and detail. For the articulation, again, it's a Gashapon figure, and I always just try and mention it in all these reviews, you know, because not everybody's following along with everyone, but for the most part, you're not going to get articulation because pieces on him, like I'll show you here, just pop into place. That's why they usually come in these capsules that you get, and they're generally apart in various pieces, and you have to assemble them together, and they're really just meant for display. I mean, you can maybe do a little bit, but this guy you're really not going to get anything here. So he's pretty much just going to be in this pose, looking like he's ready for a fight, looking menacing, but it looks pretty cool nonetheless, I think. And, you know, sizing wise, again, it's a Gashapon figure. It's a mini figure. So this one, I would say, is about in the 3-inch range, just looking at it and knowing from what I know of my Gashapon figure. So this is probably about in the 3-inch scale. So again, it's a mini figure. You know, that covers it for the most part with all that. As far as price-wise goes, this is a pretty common high-grade Gashapon figure. Usually when I've seen it, it's usually $20 or less. So if you want to try to look on eBay and whatnot, you can find these. They're not, I don't always see sellers posting them and, you know, listing them for sale. But when you do see them, like I said, they're usually about $20 or less. So definitely won't break the bank. Cool little addition to the collection here, especially if you want a Birth version Godzilla. Because there's not too many others. I'm not sure if they actually made a standard size Bandai one. If somebody wants to let me know in the comments, I would appreciate it. I do know SH Monster Arts has released the Birth version Godzilla, but because it's so similar to their original release, the '94 Godzilla, which I do have that one, you know, I just didn't really want to bother getting the Birth version of it. I'm just kind of content with the Gashapon here. I know the Birth version 1, they fixed a lot of the shortcomings of that original '94 release for Monster Arts. So they did improve that, and they made the size a little bit larger. And then, of course, the figure itself was retooled when they released Burning Godzilla as well. So, which I do have that one. But, you know, all that'll be in due time here. So, anyways, Monster Arts is always expensive. So if you're just looking to not break the bank and add a Birth version Godzilla, and you don't mind, you know, getting a minifigure Gashapon, or you just want to add the Gashapon of this, definitely a pretty cool figure. So I think that should, for the most part, cover it for this video. Sorry I rambled a bit in the beginning. I apologize, that always happens, but I just kind of wanted to go into some of the history behind this particular version here, and that it is the adult Godzilla Junior, in fact. But I'm sure many of you, especially if you're diehard fans, you already know that. So anyways, though, if you are still watching, I would like to thank you so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.